I just wanted to get your perception on the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which is, of course, not an official department, but what do you think about the prospects for that initiative?
Yeah, so you're right. It's not an official government agency. It's more of a blue ribbon commission styled organization than anything else, but it's a blue ribbon commission with a huge megaphone. And so I sort of view this as, in terms of substantive results, is kind of one of two pathways. One is, they identify spending that, everyone decides with enough attention, this is not something we should be spending money on. And Congress says, okay, we're going to stop spending on that, and passes a statute, changes the law, say that's spending that we shouldn't be engaging in, and we're going to cut it off. The other, and I think this is probably in the main where this is headed, is to say, okay, here's some spending that we think doesn't make sense. And then the president asserts the authority to impound funds using what they will argue is some constitutionally vested impoundment authority. Now, presidents over history have done this or have tried to do it. And then Congress passed a statute in the 70s saying, yeah, no, if we tell you you can spend $100 million on widget research, then you got to spend all $100 million on widget research. You can't just spend 50. And this is going to set up litigation, right? So if you imagine that the Department of Government Efficiency says we should not spend X, Y, and Z, and the president says, well, I believe we shouldn't spend on X, Y, and Z despite what you, Congress, have appropriated, so I'm not gonna. And then somebody sues, either, someone will have standing to sue, and then this will end up in the courts. And even our two, Department of Government Efficiency co-chairs in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal said, look, yeah, we're basically impoundment authorities the way we plan on doing this, and we fully expect it to be litigated, and we think we're going to win in the courts. I don't know if they're right or wrong about that. The last thing I'm going to do is bet on how the courts are going to rule on a question of constitutional prerogative versus legislative, statutory enactment to the contrary. But I think we're probably headed for a question of executive authority here, and the courts will answer it, and then we'll know. But remember, I'm not saying this to you, but to everybody, these precedents apply to both sides. So if it turns out the president does have impoundment authority and doesn't have to spend on whatever Congress has said that Congress should spend on, that's authority. That's an authority that'll be vested with presidents, especially if it's constitutionally vested, until we amend the Constitution, which seems unlikely, which means future presidents are also going to have the authority to pick and choose what they spend on. It's sort of like a line item veto authority, which the court has said is unconstitutional. But different courts and slightly question presented in a slightly different way. I am actually the budget geek in me, and I own that. Is really interested to see how this one plays out.